What was that? No, I did not.
It's the red button there, Chris.
Yep. All right, we are good.
No, you're good. Okay, let's bring Improvement Service Committee to order. Let it be recorded that Nicholson, Worry, Nenning, Vanderleest are present. Hey, number one, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on October 26, 2016.
Move to approve.
Motion by Worry, second by Vanderleest. Under discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Two, approval of the agenda.
There are a couple of items here. Where number 11, the Colburn Pool issue would be moved to the end. And then, let's see, we'll recess at 5. The Park Committee will take up its agenda, and then we'll reconvene at 6:30 to take up the balance of the agenda. And then maybe the Colburn Pool issue, maybe other issues if we're not finished by 5.
Okay. Is there a motion to take number 5 after 2, please?
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Worry, or is it a motion by Nenning?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Nenning, under discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. So the next issue we're gonna confront is number 5, correct?
Right.
And then 11 will be after 13, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, number 5, consider with possible action on request by Alderman Dwayne to approve the sale of parcel number 945 to Seminits LLC for $1 to get it back on the tax roll. Alderman Dwayne?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This started probably 2 years ago. When Kevin came on board, he asked to really look through things, and along with Cheryl Narwig and what she does, there's 3 parts to this: DPW, Economic Development, and RDA. We got so many half parcels out there, and we talked about getting them back on the tax roll. I had conversations with Steve, Kevin. We're going to be bringing more forward in their areas, and this is just a start. Simonet said at one time they asked to use that parcel, and they agreed to put the asphalt down, put the fence up around it, or in front of their building, and they maintained it all these years. And so this is just an effort. This is going to be the first of many that are going to come from in front of the council. Kevin said he wasn't going to be here. He had other things to do. He thought it was a good idea. Steve himself said he would like to, get rid of it. So I think this is just a start. I mean, we need to start doing this. I mean, we're taking care of these properties all over Green Bay unnecessarily, and that's a lot of wasted time. So I'm just asking that this is one of many that's going to be coming in front of us, and I think they've been good to us. Like I said, they asphalted it. They maintained it for over 10 years, and they're getting bigger. Their clientele's getting larger, and so that's what I'm here for. Thank you. Any questions?
Any concerns?
One quick question, Tom.
Okay, Alderman Vanderleest?
How big is the parcel, Tom?
It's Steve.
It's 30 feet wide by, let's see, I don't know, 212 feet long. So, I don't know, whatever that comes out to be, 4,672 square feet. I don't think
It's the shape of a lot. It's just long and stuff.
It's right in front of their property, is that what you're saying?
It's right inside. It's west of their property. It's adjacent.
That's my.
There's another lot next to it, and then there's more that's coming forward, and that's why I want to get this going, because it'll all meet together, and, for someone else that's going to be able to tool it, so. Thank you.
Steve?
Just from a procedural standpoint, the correct way to handle this would be a request to declare the property surplus, and then that has to go through Plan Commission. So that would be our recommendation, is to make this, to get this moving forward the way that the Alderman has asked us to do that, is to refer this to Plan Commission with a request for declaration of surplus property.
Okay.
If that's how we got to do it. I mean,
Yep.
we talked about this for a couple months already, and I wish you would have told me that. I would have done that a long time
We
ago.
just found that out last week when we were working through the legalities of how to make this happen.
Okay.
Working with law department, we were advised to declare it surplus property and run it through Plan Commission is going to be the proper venue for these.
Okay, so this will go to the next planning committee.
Absolutely.
Okay.
just talked with,
So let's do it right.
I talked to Director Bonk and the city attorney about it at 1 o'clock this afternoon, so
Okay.
everyone's advised, we know where we're going.
Okay, if there isn't any more questions, I'll entertain a motion to refer this to Plan Commission.
Seconded.
Who made the motion?
I'll make it.
Nenning? Second by Vanderleest, under discussion.
I just wanted to make sure
Alderman Murray?
that the Plan Commission understands that it's our endorsement that this be sold as surplus. Right? We
We
don't want
will
to
make-
just send the item, but
We will make that,
at least that's my,
yep.
Right, that's one.
we're endorsing it now. Okay, thanks.
Any other concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Moving forward. Number 3, consideration with possible action on a request by Rick Decker to rescind invoices 16002526 and 16002739 related to proper storage of trash and recycling tipper carts. Alderman, or Director Grenier?
On September 13th, we went out to a property at 2640 Solomon Court upon receipt of complaint to investigate improper storage of refuse carts. And the carts were located as shown on the picture. On October 3rd, we're out again, and the carts are shown on the side of the garage, visible from the street. Offhand, I don't have a copy of the invoices. I'm not sure exactly if both of those were the two dates that the invoices were issued for. I know that we did issue a warning in July at this location. We received a complaint from a resident about this property. We went out, tagged the property, issued a warning. The individual who tagged the property did speak with the petitioner at the time, and we did provide them with the proper storage location diagram that we typically provide to folks when we get such complaints. We received, I have another complaint here dated October 3rd, and there are a variety of parcels that were identified on a number of different streets. Have a list of properties that were all tagged on the same street during our visit of October 4th. On October 14th, I received a letter from Mr. Decker, indicates that on 9/19 and 10/5, he received invoice and citations for storage and placement of his tipper cart, and he wants to contest. When we spoke in reference to contesting the charges, you stated that the first step would be to meet with you and your department to hear the complaint. However, based on other phone calls placed to your office, I'm being informed the citations will stand as is regardless of what I say or do. For this reason, I feel I'm being singled out, since after driving around the neighborhood, there seem to be several homes storing their tipper carts in similar locations. Because of this, I feel municipal court would provide a more open-minded venue to receive a fair and legal interpretation of the ordinance. Therefore, I'm requesting the citations be forwarded to Green Bay Municipal Court and requesting a hearing date. I'm also requesting copies of all documents in reference to the citations become part of an open records request. Again, this letter is an official open records request for all complaints at my address. Please send information and a court date to me within a reasonable time. Because of the open records request, we forwarded on to law department, and we now have a request to have this in front of the Improvement Service Committee, because as this was a violation of municipal ordinance that falls under Chapter 9, Public Works, this would be the appropriate committee to hear the first. It first comes to my office for us to take action on, and if the property owner is not satisfied with the action they get through my office, then this committee would be his next course of action, so that's why it's before you. From a staff perspective, again, we don't handle these things until we get a complaint. We did receive 2 written complaints, more than 2 written complaints about this address. We went out, we investigated, found that the carts were not being stored consistent with the ordinance. Warning was issued. After the warning, citations then followed, consistent with the way that the ordinance is written. Petitioner did indicate that he feels he's being treated differently. Again, I can show you the list of addresses, in and around his house that we cited on the same day.
Were these warnings, the ones that you're just talking about right there, were they warnings or were they actually citations? The other ones that are at the other addresses?
If a tag is issued, Deb, does that just mean it's tagged? Okay.
First is having to contact the resident, get him removed. The second complaint we get, we do move the cart again, and no issue.
So
with the cycle.
based on this information, it's difficult to tell whether or not this was a first or a second offense, or a multiple offense. But I guess the point we're making is this is not a targeted enforcement. This is something that happens on complaint, and we treat every address the exact same way.
Out of curiosity, were those all one complaint or from one person, or were they multiple complaints?
No, just taking a look at where all the different streets are, this was something that, there were multiple complaints in multiple areas of the city.
Okay.
Steve, how many complaints in that area?
Offhand, I don't know. We typically don't track the complaints. We take action on them, but we don't necessarily log the complaints or keep track of it that way.
Alderman Wery?
Thank you, Chairman. Director Grenier, looking at the photos, which one of these was ticketed? The one that was sitting in front of the doors, or the ones where it's up along the side?
That I would have to defer. Absolutely. Deb Epping is the sanitation superintendent, so.
Like this one, there's a picture of it right in front, and then there's another picture of it further back.
Normally, we take this around to the back of the house. So this is where they were sitting to start
Okay.
with. We could not get them into the backyard, so we tried.
We
to move
moved them
this
as far
Oh, I
back
see.
as
We
we
tried to
could, but the
move them
gate was
out
locked.
of
Okay.
the front.
And then this one?
Is where they were sitting behind here. This is just showing the size of his garage. This is where they are. Can't get back here. We shoved them back as far as we could, so they couldn't, try to make them not visible to the street.
So he was ticketed actually for this?
No, he was ticketed for this, in front of his car.
Okay. But
That's
this
where we
one-
moved it to. Then these were on the
Was it
side of the
actually-
garage,
But he
This is
received a
front.
ticket for being on the side?
the side, and we moved them back.
Okay. Only reason I ask is, thank you. Back when we had this debate, I was very much against the whole storage thing, because I knew stuff like this would happen. And I think we settled it where if you were standing in front of the house and you couldn't see the bins, and they were tucked away enough and on the sides, you wouldn't get a ticket. And so that's why I asked, the ones in this one seem to be around the side, if you stood in front and just looked at the house,
We
so.
moved them to the side, where you look at where the carts are on the side of the houses.
Yeah.
That's
So
where-
both times they were in
We
front?
moved them, yeah, we moved
Okay.
the carts.
That's fine, that's perfect.
Just as clarification, the ordinance reads, property line to property line of the house in question. If you
Yep.
can't see the carts, you're good. So if you're standing in front of the neighbor's house and you can see the carts next door, still good. It only counts in front of this
Right.
house. So it's actually more open than it used to be when we had the garbage cans.
Anything else?
No.
Alderman Wery? Any other concern? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, is there someone here for this?
Right, I was gonna open up the floor unless someone else had any concerns or questions for Steve. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to open up the floor for interested parties. So moved. By Wery, second by
Second.
Nenning. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Now the floor is open. Anybody that wants to speak to this, just please raise your hand. I will recognize you. And then just state your name and address for the record, please. Yes, sir, can you?
My name's Richard Decker. I am the owner of that property. I've had several conversations with people reference this, and I apologize for the minor situation. You guys probably have more important things to do than this, but this is kind of grown by itself. I've done some research on this, and I really do think it's such a minor situation, and I think there's an alternative motive of why I'm being targeted compared to others. I did do a neighborhood survey of the whole area. I must have found 14 or 15 houses that had the same situation. I do have photos of some of those houses that were done on that date. This is all based on one complaint. It's the same person complaining as far as what the records request that I received. I have a copy of that email that was requested that's been redacted. I can show you that.
The information that you have, can we look at it?
Yes, I'm gonna give it to you
Oh,
right now.
okay, thank you.
I have some notes on there.
Do you want to black that out?
Well, this has been redacted. This is the email you received, and this is from the one complainant that you have, and I can read it or I can let you guys read it. Oops, sorry. That's the email. Thank you. She calls herself, and I'm not trying to belittle it, but she's the busybody of the neighborhood, and she must walk the neighborhood. I live in a cul-de-sac. I'm very proud of my house. I take care of my house. The reason I'll get into it, this is my lot line. This is where I live. That's the house in question. Steve did, or somebody did come out, I'm not sure if it's Steve that actually I talked to, and we explained it. He was very polite and very professional when we went there. There is a reason I don't want to put the garbage containers in my garage. I work in there. I don't care for the smell. Winter is not as bad. I don't have access to my backyard because if you look in the pictures, and I have more pictures, my backyard's secured by a fence. And then my dogs are back there, and they would get in that garbage. My garage, I work in all the time, and I prefer not to put these in my garage. And I feel that the side of the house that I had them in, once I was notified with the first warning, I put them on the side of my house. There is a bush there during the winter. I will give you, these are current pictures of my house. And you may go through these. They're different views. I can identify my house as the white here, and it starts, if you want to page through them, it pans all the way around till you see the garbage bins on the corner of the house. There's probably 2 neighbors that can see those bins, and during the summertime, that bush is full of leaves, it blocks it. It's been suggested by somebody from the street department to build a fence right there. It's not feasible with my landscaping. It would not do anything. When the bush gets full, you don't see the garbage bins. I want to go on to the next thing, that there's been no other complaints on my address in 20 years. I built this house in 1998. I've been a longtime resident of Green Bay. I have no other complaints at the house. I take care of my property very well. I'm very proud of my house. I'm the only one that's been there. I've talked to Steve many times in this situation to try to get it resolved. Steve's been very professional to me and has told me how to do it. I do have to make a comment that Debbie Epping, I have had a few conversations with. This is not the place to address it, but she has not been professional to me. She's been, I'm not going to be opinionated, and it's not this place, but I will handle that. So that's when this kind of got escalated after talking to Debbie, and her treatment or unprofessionalism to me made this go to the next step. She didn't even offer a solution. She just said that you're going to have to pay those tickets. I've put in probably more time and money than the $39 each ticket. I don't have an issue with the $39. This is more of a principle thing, and I feel that I am being targeted because of this one lady that walks up my street and says she's seen it. I don't know why she's picking on me only, because if she's walking the neighborhood, she's seen many bins out there. And you're saying, you discussed that you've issued other citations and warnings in the neighborhood. I put in a records request, and the only one I got was my house. I have several pictures here of ones that are in violation. And I do have the addresses, but I'd have to pull them off my iPad. But these are pictures of one bins that are been in the neighborhood, that are right in front of the house. And I don't understand why I'm the only one getting picked on. I'm sorry for the terminology, the one chosen to get cited. I got, like I said, every time I talk to Steve, Steve's been very professional and told me where to go. The conversations I've had with Debbie have been unprofessional in my opinion, and basically says you need to pay the citation, or the fees, the billings, and they're not going to be voided, she instructed to me. I just do one of the pictures on the complaint that you guys have is this one. You must have pulled it off of Google Maps, because that van that's in my driveway, I haven't owned in 10 years. So I don't understand why you have a picture of something that was 10 years old. It must have been pulled off of Google Maps.
What picture?
That's the one with the van that's in the front here. This one.
Yeah, but where did that?
What's the
This came with your complaint.
What's
When
the, what's the context of it? Rick?
the open records request that I had,
Okay.
that's why I got the full thing if you want it. That must have come off of Google Maps.
I think what Natalie was doing was providing.
That's when
See, because this van I have
Right.
owned in.
When she provided the information down to the law department, she wanted to give a frontal
Okay.
view of the home.
Okay,
That-
just
that's
I
all.
want to know that that's.
Sure.
That's
No,
not around
understood,
there.
understood.
I did get I do have Debbie's email to Steve. I do have some concern about that. It's more of a personnel concern because of the way she addressed it. Again, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm a long-line citizen of the Green Bay. I enjoy it here. I do want to make a point about her email, and I think you guys might have that copy up there. How it was addressed, and that I did not make that insinuation. And that's why this is kind of grown out of proportion. My goal here is to get these two billings voided, and that to have a variance to have my garbage cans on the side there. That's my goal. I do want to make one, this is her email. It's dated October 21st. I don't know if you have a copy, but I can give it to you. I have some notes written on it. It says it's from her, it's from Natalie, or from her to Natalie, and I guess Steve got CC'd into it. It says, his backyard is locked, so his carts are still illegal where they're placed, but they are not in front of his house. I talked to the gentleman again today and informed him that no one's going to dismiss the billing over the phone. I told him we will respond to the complaint for carts, and he was notified in June to put his carts away put it away. There's a comment. In September, we received another complaint, so he was billed for moving the carts. And then this is where I don't know where this came from, and I'm going to tell you, he believes he's not getting his due process. I did talk about due process, but she's got ex-cop in parentheses. I am a retired police officer. That has no effect here. I'm not asking for anything different, and I hope that's not the impression that was given. I told him to put his carts in the garage, so then she puts in parentheses, no, he does not want to, and does not have the room. It's not the room. It's I work in my garage all the time. I have a hobby. I work hard. I don't want the garbage in there. He says, I told him the location we placed them is still not legal because they cannot, because they can be seen from the street. We tried to put them in the backyard, but the gate is locked. Yes, that is for security. I don't want them in the backyard. I store my lawn stuff there. This is her terminology, her letter. I told her I have dogs back there, and everything's secure. My backyard is secure. And then she says, I informed him that he would need to appear before the INS and that I am able to avoid the bill. He wanted to know who on the committee so he could talk to the alderman person. She would not give me any names. I don't know why or nothing. I did talk to Steve back then. Steve recommended that I talk to my alderman, which is what I did. This is a continuation of her email. She did give me the address of City Hall and told him to mark it reference to Steve Gunier. And then it's a sub thing, now he's trying to call Steve to get the bill voided. I'm not trying to get the bill voided, I'm trying to get the situation solved and do it. Like I said, I'm not a troublemaker, but this has really grown legs because this really kind of got to me. I once again told him that that is not how it works and that he needs to send a letter. Then another sub-note, he wanted to know who complained about the carts. I did not want to know. I just want to know how the complaint came by. I know confidentiality, I know that ever the rules. He informed him that, I'm going to read it in her words here. Informed him I do not know. And then she says, we tagged his house in June and again in September. We received a complaint, so we responded to it. That's why he received the billing. And then she puts in parentheses, Rick said it was his right to know who complained. And I did not say that. I said I have a right to follow up on this and how the complaint came by. I really do think this is more internal with the street department or the public works department because I think I've irritated somebody there. That's my guess. I don't have proof of that, but I can tell by the phone conversations that I've had, I believe that's how it's been. He feels, and this is her email content, he feels that the carts are not hurting anything and that he should not be tagging it. I informed him that the city ordinance, and he needs to follow the ordinance like all other residents in the city of Green Bay have to. I'm going to point to the pictures throughout the thing. Also, the comment that was made at the time was, she said that, do you really want Green Bay to look like Ashwaubenon? And I guess I don't know where that's coming from, but I guess there's carts all over in front of Ashwaubenon. That didn't have anything to do with this complaint, but I do think internally the street department has an issue with me right now. And I wanted to, that's how this got this far. And then she writes, I really feel he's not going to give up. We've received 4 phone calls from him already trying to get this billing done. I didn't try to get, I want the phone calls to get answers to how I process this thing. How do I go, what's the next step? And she was not very good in customer service. I really have an issue with that. That will handle down the road, that you guys don't need to handle that. But I'll tell you what, I know customer service, and I did not get it from her. Steve has been wonderful to me, but she was very, very negative, if that's the right way. Then it says in there, please call Rick Decker. He's got my phone numbers, references card storage. He's received an invoice, originally asked to talk to Steve, but I think it would be better, the best person to talk to him. And this is came from Natalie. That wasn't from Debbie. That was from Natalie because I talked to her. She must answer the phone. I've been given a statute copy. I understand that. Again, my whole purpose here is asking for a variance. I have my carts on the side of that house. Nobody else can see it. Nobody in my neighborhood's complained. I've talked to all my neighbors. The one complainant is the same complainant that you received, is some person that's walking up on the street, taking a walk, and going by there. Why she's picked my address, because I took a walk and I've shown you the pictures, and why is mine the only one hit? I would just personally don't want my garbage cans in my garage. I'm in there probably every day, and backyard is not feasible because my backyard's for my animal, my dogs, and they've been great. So I'm here to address any questions or anything you.
Any questions from the committee? Nenning?
How much distance is there between your home and the neighboring property? Is it up to that fence or?
Can I see where you're pointing? This fence, I do know the distance because when I built my house, they were digging the hole. This is actually 13 feet because the law says 8 you have to have between lot lines. So I had to extend it a little bit to make sure when they dug my hole.
So where is the property line?
The property line's right on the fence line.
On the fence line?
Yep.
Okay.
His is brown, mine's white. I continue the fence down the road. I do have this cart here, this trailer that I store back here behind the setback. It's not in violation. I can put that, it's an ugly trailer, it's an ugly color. I can put that in my driveway. It would block the garbage bins. There wouldn't be a complaint. I don't want that. I'm trying to be a good neighbor here and everything. All I ask is I have my garbage on the side there, and it's not bothering anybody. It's bothering one person who takes a walk around my neighborhood.
Okay, where on the side do you want it? Do you want it toward the back like it shows?
I would like it right behind this bush. That's where I would like it. I think there is a picture of it there. It's this picture right here. It's kind of blurry. That's where I'd like to have them stored.
Well, I know that people have done things to hide their carts in order to comply with the ordinance. Things that are as simple as putting a tarp over the darn cart, or building a small, fence to hide it. I know people have done things like that. I mean, that's basically what would have to be done to comply with the ordinance. Something like that, right?
Correct.
Anything else, Dave?
No.
I was just
Alderman
gonna
Vanderleest?
ask Mr. Decker, would you be willing to put one of those little, in other words, they're just like an L-shaped type enclosure that would, solve this problem?
It would, I have landscaping there with curbing, and I couldn't rest anything on the ground. I'm willing to plant a bigger bush next spring, so it blocks it. That would, I don't have a problem with. I do want my house to look nice, and to have a fence that's line sitting halfway to my lot, to the lot line, wouldn't look good. That's why I designed the fence down below. I'm willing to hide it with a bigger bush. I just have an issue about why I'm the only one getting cited for this. That's a huge issue here. I understand that you don't have that's not your part of your agenda. I'm asking for a variance, and I will this spring plant a bush to cover it there. I'm not causing a problem with any neighbors around here, and the one person that's complaining is walking up and down the street, and I don't know why she picked my house. I don't even want to get finances involved. I've probably spent more than the 2 citations in fighting this already. It's become more of a principal matter. And I really do think I'm being singled out for some reason. And I just want to be a good citizen and continue going on with what I do. And this whole issue has become bigger than it should be, but I'm not going to, I guess I'm asking for the variance at this point.
Any other questions? Any other questions from the committee? I got a question for Steve. In our ordinance, what does it state, or what's the reference towards variances? Isn't it certain standards, or to have a variance?
I would
doesn't
have
it?
to go back and take a look. I think the variance language left a lot of discretion within the Department of Public Works, but it was, at least the intent of it when it was being discussed before the ordinance was promulgated had to do with hardship cases and lack of available alternatives. One of the things that we talked about was, especially in the older areas of town where we had narrow lots, small garages, and not a lot of room to put things, that we wanted to make sure people weren't being penalized for that. And you may remember, part of the discussion was we didn't want people putting it on their front porch,
Right.
type of thing. So make as reasonable an accommodation as we could.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for the committee? Okay.
I do have, I don't know if you guys want to see, I have current pictures that I took actually the other day of just they're kind of a repeat of what there, but it gives you a better overview of where you won't see the garbage bins, if I can show those to you. They're all on my iPad, so they're easier to look at. Can I?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I can't.
I'm just going to show you
Here,
each.
start with
Yeah.
Vanderleest over there.
Okay, this is from the street corner of Aphrodite and Solomon Court. This is my house right here, all right? And I'm just gonna do a full circle. This is my fence line, that's my house, this is my front. and then I'm swinging over. You still can't see it, my front driveway, these are my vehicles. I do have 4 vehicles, actually I have 5, and because I do stuff in the car, it's a double stall garage. This is the front of the house. You barely can see the bins there. This is facing south. The bins are right here. I can focus and you can see the top of them right there. That's my son in the picture. He wasn't supposed to be there. But, and I'm going to swing around here one more time. This is where I'm swinging now. I'm in the cul-de-sac. You can see the bins a little bit. This is I can plant a bigger bush. There is a bush there. I have a Fulton sitting there. That's where I want to keep the bins.
You don't want to keep them way in the back?
I can put them back there. I have a trailer back there. The other thought, it's just that when I empty the garbage, it would drag out all the way around. I guess it's an inconvenience. I don't see this as a problem.
From this view here, you can see them, you'll be able to see them regardless if you put a bush or not.
When the bush I plan to put it would be bigger, but that would be something that until springtime. Like I said, I think this whole complaint's grown bigger legs than it should have been. I think that's the last one, but that's the only people, and I've talked to the neighbors, they don't have a problem with it, but that's the point you'd see it. The bush right here, it's a winter bush, it loses its leaves during the winter, I mean, so I have a fountain sitting there. I can grow a bigger bush.
I'd like you to show you that one photo there, as you blow it up, show that to Mr. Grenier and see if he says that's in compliance.
That one, I guess, we would argue that it's still visible from the street.
Okay. I'm going to go back and show you from the beginning here. This is the corner. This is my house here. This is Aphrodite. That's Solman Court. I'm swinging around, going in the front of the house. Slowly. This is getting to the front. The carts are way over there. This is the front of the house. You can barely see the carts. And then this is where I swing all, I'm inside the cul-de-sac at the time, and that's where the carts are. There's a bush there, but like in the winter, it loses its leaves.
Any question? Oh, are you?
I'm just
Okay, go ahead.
This is the corner of Aphrodite and Solman Court again. This is my house. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to swing around. And this is just swinging around toward the front of it. This is my house. The carts are right there. And this is the point that you would first see it.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, that, we probably, the way the ordinance was written, we probably put our staff and everyone in a difficult position, because a lot of times it is a judgment call, and especially with bushes. I got one in my district where it really wasn't visible from the road until the neighbor trimmed the bushes, and when the neighbor trimmed the bushes, all of a sudden it's visible from the road. There's all sorts of issues here. The ordinance does say that it's not to be visible from the road, and we don't have inspectors that go around and check every property. We simply, that would be just a tremendous thing to try to enforce that. But when the city gets a complaint, our staff looks at it based on what the ordinance says, and our staff has a responsibility to try to enforce the ordinance. It's on the books. The ordinance is the law that the council as a whole adopted. I understand how you feel about it. I personally, I think that there are some things that can be done here. A very small fence in front of it, and heck, even what some people have done, putting a tarp over a dumpster, a tipper cart. you know, if
That's in
that's,
accordance of our ordinance, just putting a tarp over it?
The cart would not be visible.
Okay, all right. I just,
so I,
That's so much more safe.
So I know that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think there are some simple things that can be done here, and, you know, even if it's on a temporary basis until you can plant the bush that you want to in spring. You know, if you were to agree to do something like that, you know, to basically satisfy the letter of the ordinance, then I would certainly make a motion to avoid these citations, because I think what we're doing here is trying to learn from the process and get compliance. And I think that's the target here, not to charge the fines. What do you think?
I agree with that. I would do that. I mean, I can put tarps over it. I have no issue with that. Like I said, this, I'm not here to violate the rules. I'm not here to make my neighborhood. I'm proud of my neighborhood. I take care of my house. I take care of everything around it. I just don't have the room. I have 5 cars in my driveway, or in my garage. I have a double stall, and it's a 3-stall with a double stall in it. I enjoy what I do, and I keep everything clean. I cut my grass. I do everything. This has really kind of grown legs, and like I said, it got to the point that I felt I wasn't being treated fairly or even listened to. I told you the one person that I feel that I will address, but that'll be a different party, different committee. Like I said, Steve's told me the proper way of handling it, and I did. But then I think I got targeted after that. They came specifically out to my address to see if it was there. Yeah, I'm looking to have the 2 bills rescinded, and I will put tarps over my containers until I get a big enough tree. It's warm enough now. I might even go buy something that would feasibly do that. I actually work on my house, and I'm proud of the neighborhood. So,
Okay.
and I've talked to all the neighbors in that corner, and that's why I know it's not, they don't live, the person that is, you only have one complainant here. And I don't know why she picked on me, because if she's walking the neighborhood, it says in the email that I received. And she must have seen 15 or 16 carts, because I did. And I have a photo of some of those sitting there, and I have the address of those if you want them. I'm not looking to complain to them, but I want to just prove it in my neighborhood. There's carts all over the place. Why am I being singled out? Why am I being billed to move them? Nobody else is being billed to move them. And that was my issue.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead, Mr. Decker.
That was my whole issue. I just get the bills rescinded, and I will I will cover the carts. I have no issue, but I'd like to leave them on the side of the house.
Okay, thank you. I agree with Mr. Netting to get compliance, and I feel that this is a good compromise. I don't have a problem voiding out the site, or the fees, or do you call them fees?
Yeah,
Citations,
well,
fees.
they're not citations, they're fees for service.
Fees for service, so as long as we get compliance, and, you know, we won't have any more complaints, and basically a compromise, I agree with Mr. Netting.
Okay, and compliance would be to cover them? That would be at this point until I get enough bush cover?
Just, right, Steve, cover
we
them
will-
until you get a
We'll work with
larger
you on making sure you do something
landscaping.
that's compliant.
Okay,
Yes.
but I mean, we have winter time now. The thing is, you can't get anything to grow.
No,
I just want to be compliant. I don't want to be another complaint or have
Right.
any issues.
Okay.
And I do want to talk to you later down the
Yep.
week. So,
So, Dave, that's a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a
To-
motion to rescind the 2 fees on the, with the provision that Mr. Decker outlined. That can we say within, what, in 14 days or 10 days?
I'll have them covered tonight.
Okay.
I would say right after city council's decision, correct?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
this-
we don't have to wait 2 weeks, do we?
No,
No,
no.
I'll have
Okay.
City council is a week from
Is a week from
yesterday.
So,
Okay,
So-
they'll be
Okay.
covered. I mean, that's, on the side of the
Perfect.
house covered is the satisfaction. Steve?
that'll work.
Okay, that's my motion.
Okay, motion by Netting to rescind the 2 fees for service with basically having compliance at Mr. Decker's address. I don't have his address.
2640 Solon Court.
So we have it.
Okay. To receive compliance and a compromise.
No, that was Mr. Decker.
This is a recommendation to the city council.
Okay.
So, okay. Second by Worry, under discussion.
Just one thing, Alderman.
Director Denier.
Well, I just want to make sure that this is also noted. I know Mr. Decker feels that he's being singled out, but when we got the complaint on October 3rd, we did go out and we did take action 9:20 Aphrodite, 9:30 Aphrodite, 9:35 Aphrodite, 10:15, 10:20, and 10:40 Aphrodite, 2409 Heather, 2510, 2518, 2526, 2544, 2555 Heather, 2638, 2649 Hilly Haven Road, 2629, 2635, 2641, 2642, 2645, and 2665 Van Beek, all in the same neighborhood, all on the same day. So again, I want to make sure that it's very, very evident to everybody, this is not a targeted offense. When we get a complaint, we respond to the complaint we receive. So on that October day, all of these folks were visited by my staff at the same time. So we didn't come out just to your property. We responded to a complaint that we received, and we took action kind of on a blanket across this entire neighborhood.
Did you get compliance on the rest of them?
Impossible for me to tell at this point. I'd have to go back and take a look.
Point noted, Steve. Mr. Decker?
I would like to know if they all received the same attention that I received. That would answer my question, because I think I have the answer, and I'm not going to say it here, but because of my phone calls to your office, I think I got treated differently. That's my point, and that's what you and I can deal with later.
Certainly.
But that's the committee here, and I understand that we don't want carts out, and it was given an example to me by his office that we don't want to look like Ashwaubenon, and I kind of felt that was a little derogatory comment. I don't think Ashwaubenon looks bad, but I take pride in my house, and I take pride in everything, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Moving forward. We are at number 4, consideration of possible action on a request by Craig Baston to have the Department of Public Works handle snow removal along Humboldt Road, held over October 26, 2016, improvement and service committee meeting. Director Denier.
Had a conversation with the Bastons yesterday. Unfortunately, they've had a death in the family, and
Should we hold this?
they're at a funeral. They asked if we could hold it until the next
Okay,
meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to hold number 4.
Move to hold until the next meeting.
Second.
By Worry,
Second.
second by Nenning. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Nays,
Aye.
motion carried. 6, consideration with possible action on request by Alderman Worry to examine changing the method of approving and paying for all street improvements, held over from October 26, 2016, Improvement Services Committee meeting. Alderman Worry.
I'm going to defer to Director Venier to see if any comments come in from Alderman, or?
Well, again, we went through the memo at our October meeting, and we had a couple of items come up during that meeting where some additional information was requested. So if you go to page 6 of the memo that's in your packet, we can pick up in the middle of the page where it says updates November 10th. So specifically, committee members asked some questions regarding the number of streets and number of parcels that are subject to special assessments over the last 5 years, and some information regarding to the number of parcels and values of special assessments levied for sidewalk improvements over the same time period.
Thank you.
So we tabulated that out for street reconstruction and resurfacing. Again, we annually generate in the neighborhood of about $1.1 million through special assessments for resurfacing and reconstruct streets. 2012, we had 5 streets reconstructed, 18 resurfaced, for a total of 23. 170 parcels on a reconstruct, 344 for a total of 515 total number of parcels in 2012. 2013, we had 3 streets reconstructed with 82 parcels, 16 resurfaced, 346 for a total of 19 streets worked on, 428 parcels impacted. 2014, 1 street reconstructed that had 71 parcels, 22 streets resurfaced with 313 parcels, so a total of 23 streets comprising 384 parcels. 2015, 3 streets reconstructed, 63 parcels, 11 streets resurfaced with 321, so a total of 14 streets worked on with 384 parcels. 2016, 2 streets reconstructed, 35 parcels impacted, 10 streets resurfaced, 317 parcels impacted, total of 12 streets worked on, 352 parcels. Sidewalk construction repairs handled using a variety of processes depending on how the sidewalk is ordered to be completed. If it's a new development, any new sidewalks go in prior to occupancy. This is part of the site development or building costs, so we don't necessarily have that information. That's done by the developer prior to the house being occupied. So that's typically, if you want to call it a part of the home cost, I guess is the best way to look at that. Once a sidewalk's been installed, any sidewalk falling into disrepair or deemed to be hazardous pedestrians is subject to replacement. Policy of the city is that a complaint must be filed on a parcel-specific basis. The staff then evaluates a sidewalk bounded by the property lines. If staff determines that city-owned trees in the terrace are responsible for damaging that sidewalk, there's a credit issued back to the property owner, and the cost to replace that tree-damaged sidewalk is borne by the city. We're able to track the amount of sidewalk that's ordered to be repaired or replaced. That is part of our annual sidewalk resolution. If there are new sidewalks installed as part of that resolution, we can also track those locations. It typically arises when there's a gap in sidewalk coverage that's closed by an action of the common council, or if the parcel is discovered to have a development on a parcel that required the sidewalk that was not completed prior to the CO being granted. So I guess what we wanted to do is just to give you some forewarning. We have sidewalk numbers, but they're in no means complete. It's the best information we have. So based off of what we have, 2012, there were 68 properties at a total cost of about $28,576 worth of sidewalk. 2013, there were 56 properties that had a total of just over $101,000 worth of sidewalk installed or repaired. 2014, there was 85 properties. Total cost was about a little over $57,000. 2015, there was 54 properties at about $38,000, a little over $38,000. And in 2016, we had a big jump because there was a large amount of new sidewalk. That was the same thing in 2013. So there were 76 properties impacted. There was 9,000 square feet of reconstruct, but 11,580 of new sidewalk installed. So the total amount of sidewalks either installed new or reconstructed in 16 is about 119,000. So, we have a low of about 30,000 to a high of about $120,000 worth of sidewalk that is special assessed back to property owners on an annualized basis. So that's the updates that had been requested by the committee to the original memo when we talked about the amount of assessed, the assessed values for sidewalk and pavement construction that we see on an annual basis. In answer directly to the question that Alderman Weary just asked, no, I have received no questions or comments from any other alders relative to this information, and we did provide this to everybody subsequent to that, the updates being completed.
Thanks.
If I could just
Oh, I
ask,
thought you saw the floor, Chris.
No, I'm good.
All right, Alderman Nenning.
ask a couple of quick questions here. I know, looking at our assessment ordinance, I know for street construction, there's different types of streets,
Correct.
and there's an assessment ratio depending on the type of street.
Correct.
With sidewalks, they're all assessed at 100%.
100%.
Regardless of.
With the exception, if it's a sidewalk that has fallen into
Right.
disrepair,
Then
and
they
it
get a
was
credit.
if it was adversely impacted by a city street tree, then the city picks up the full cost of that.
Okay.
But yes, except for that, it is 100% assessed.
Okay. In looking at the comparisons that we were given with other communities, I don't think anybody's using wheel tax monies for sidewalks, are they?
That is my understanding as well.
Okay, so basically what we're talking about is road construction and reconstruction and resurfacing.
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else, Dave?
No, not right now.
Alderman Wery?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd be interested if anyone here has any comments on this item.
Okay, nobody's here. You still have the floor, Chris.
Right, well, I firmly believe we're a bit behind on street repairs, and we could jump ahead a little bit. I think road assessments can be very crushing to homeowners. I think the wheel tax is an effective way to deal with road repairs. More and more cities are utilizing this, and I'd be in favor with moving ahead with it. So my motion would be to adopt a wheel tax of $20, and I'd be open to any other ideas about it.
Well, there is one thing that I think we should realize is that
Manning?
with our current assessment ordinance, non-residential zones pay a higher proportion, a higher percentage of special assessments, of the cost for special assessments than residential properties. So if we're doing this for all properties, we're no longer going to assess for street improvements. The greatest benefit is to non-residential properties. Because they're, for residential properties, well, basically for resurfacing,
You mean commercial? Are you talking about commercial?
well,
Commercial, industrial, anything other than residential.
yeah. So I just wanted to be aware of that, that there's a difference depending on what type of street you live on. There's type A, type B, type C street. And the current ordinance charges more in special assessments, a higher percentage for non-residential.
Non-resident, okay.
I believe
How
for
much higher, Dave?
Well, I believe for residential it's typically 60%. And,
60% more?
well, 60% of the cost of resurfacing or.
And in general, when we're talking about a reconstruct street, we are more often than not talking about a type C street, an existing street that has curb and gutter that's being reconstructed. A
Okay.
type B would be a rural street that's being urbanized, so something that has shoulders and ditch that's being turned into curb and gutter. Okay, that's a type B.
Okay.
A type A is a brand-new street
Yeah.
going through a farm field.
Yeah,
Okay, so type C is our most common reconstruct. On a type C, local residentially zoned properties pay 30% of the assessment factor. So the assessment factor in 2016 for an asphalt paved street is $115. A residentially zoned property would pay 30% of that, or $34.50 per front foot. All other zone classifications,
Do you have a copy of that? I mean, I don't have that.
I didn't bring this, Alderman Nenning has his, but this is upstairs in the, I've got these upstairs, and I believe it's also, I don't know if it's on the website or not.
it's in the ordinance book.
Right.
It is on the
But
website.
I would
but
think it'd
we
be
should-
beneficial for
Yeah,
everyone in the committee to have that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think it would be, and, you know, one of the things we have to discuss at the start is, do we want, if we use wheel tax money, do we want it applied to new streets? Because currently with new streets, a developer has to either pay the city's costs to do it or to put in the new streets themselves. Or are we just talking about resurfacing and reconstructing? I think that's the first decision we've got to make. And, you know, but be aware that residential, in the type C, the typical resurfacing, currently property owners are assessed at 30% of the cost, whereas other zones, other classifications are assessed at 65. So if we were to take everything off
Was that 65 non-residential?
Correct.
Yes.
Other
And
than
30% is residential?
Yes.
Yeah, residential, I think, applies to both single-family and two-family.
And that's of the cost, correct?
Of the assessment factor.
Yeah.
Of the assessment factor.
But the assessment factor is basically reflects the,
A new street.
right, reflects the cost for a new street, I guess, in the prior year.
Well, we
Well,
tried to,
some-
we tried to
some
synthesize what a new street would be because we haven't constructed a whole lot of new streets ever since the housing bust.
Okay, okay. Okay, well, if the committee would like to review the whole assessment ordinance before we make a recommendation, then I would say table it to the next meeting. Let's have a thorough review of the assessment ordinance.
I agree.
Decide what-
Steve, everybody should have this information besides the committee.
Yep.
I believe this should be sent out to all the aldermen, so they know what's coming, and they
Yep.
can study it also, like,
Okay.
there's some aldermen that are here.
And
Thought
if it pleases the committee, we do have another meeting coming up in 2 weeks, but if you want alders to have enough time to review and digest this, we could easily take this up again at the first meeting in January as well. So, your
But at
pleasure.
least get the information
Yep,
out,
your pleasure.
and then we can decide that later,
Well,
I guess.
you and I can talk about that when we're setting the agenda for
Right.
next week.
Okay.
Sounds good, Steve. And I'll talk to Alderman Worry, because it's his communication.
That's fine. I want all the aldermen to be fully informed, and
Right.
I just wanted it to start the discussion, whether
Sure.
or not everything went to zero, or, maybe everything, residential goes to 10% and commercial to 20, or, this discussion needs to happen.
Absolutely.
I don't know if anyone in the audience wants to speak on this.
I believe we addressed this to the audience before we...
We did, yes.
Okay. So, anybody else? Any concerns? If not, okay, we're gonna hold this to our next meeting.
Yep. And then,
So, motion by Nenning,
Yeah.
second by Vanderleest, under discussion, here none. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Okay, I believe it's 5 o'clock.
Yep, so we will go into recess at this point. Parks Committee will take up their agenda, and Improvement Service will reconvene at 6:30.
I think we have someone here in number 7. I wonder if we could take care of that quickly.
Do we?
We got a posted agenda.
Right.
5 o'clock. So.